Preparing the live stream. Right, there we go. We are live.
Okay, good evening and welcome to the meeting of the Folkestone Hythe Joint Transportation Board. Please note this meeting is being streamed live to the internet, so could all members please ensure that their microphone is set to mute unless they are speaking to reduce any background noise. First item is the appointment of chair. As has been notified to the KCC members, just to inform everyone else, it provisionally has been confirmed by the monitoring officer at Kent County Council in discussions with the monitoring officer at Folkestone Hythe District Council that I will be the chairman for the forthcoming year. Apologies for absence, Jake.
So we have two apologies, Councillor Prater and Councillor McConville, who we kindly have Councillor Cooper substituting.
Excellent, thank you very much. Welcome, Tony. And declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest? I see none, so that's item 3 done. Item 4, the minutes. What I propose to do is go through them page by page on any issues. So page 5 of our pack, which is items 1, 2 and 3. Okay, item 5, there was a discussion about the changes to JTBs. I did send a note round just to say that the scrutiny committee at Kent County Council has reviewed the process of JTBs across the county, and this isn't a reflection on this JTB, but the decision of scrutiny, and it doesn't mean necessarily the executive at Kent County Council will take this forward, have voted for the abolition of joint transportation boards and for them to be replaced with an alternative method of consultation between the districts and the county council on transport matters. There were a number of issues raised at that meeting. It varied from start times. Some councils have start times at 5 o'clock, which meant no one could go. There were issues of attacks upon officers, therefore they couldn't have physical meetings, and therefore officers were no longer going to attend JTBs. There were issues around where matters do go to a vote, although it's only advisory. Currently, as we've seen tonight, the district members can substitute, but the Kent County Council members can't, because there is no one to substitute, because we're up to a maximum number. Hence, there's often an inbuilt majority for district members on matters. And then lastly, it was considered that how do we deal with areas that aren't parished, and although a very small part of our district is not parished, in other areas it's quite significant and they don't necessarily get any representation on the Joint Transportation Board. So the request was to take it away, discuss it with CALC and work up a new proposal. Just to say that there was some confusion, obviously that note caused. People thought we might be cancelling our own JTB. Any cancellation of the JTBs will happen across the county, not in isolation. And so hopefully what will come out of this is a much better and stronger Joint Transportation Board, or whatever it's called. A bit of a background as to what's happened in terms of the future of JTBs. And I think we had a really useful discussion. Item 6, Stagecoach. Is there any from 7, the BSIP, Bus Improvement Plan? No. Active travel in Folkestone Hythe. Item 8. No. Item 9, Highways Forward Works. Obviously, we've got that on our agenda tonight. And item 10, proposed parking restrictions in the district. And item 11, TROs. Okay. One other point with the minutes. In the past, we've had our officers present that were listed in the minutes. Currently, it looks like Jake was on his own. Now, I know Fred was on there because he was on the agenda, and I know James was there. And so I just wondered if we could make sure any officers present are included in the record of the minutes. Okay, everyone happy? Are the minutes agreed? Yep, excellent. Okay, item 5, Highways Forward Works Programme. It's on your agenda, pages 9 to 24. I'll go through them in terms of the appendices. So Appendix A, Road Footway Cycleway Renewal and Preservation Scheme. Does anyone wish to raise any items on this? No. Okay. Move on then to Appendix B, Drainage, on page 13 of the pack. Are there any items people wish to raise? No. Okay. Appendix C, Street Lighting.
Sorry, Councillor.
Go ahead,
I did have my hand up. I'm not
I
quite
do
sure.
apologise. Please.
I just wanted to raise the problems that we had during Storm Kieran, or Karen, however you pronounce it. I'd like for us to be able to send out a thank you to all the staff on the ground for all of the hard work they did in clearing the roads, etc. But I think we need to have an item on here, re-drainage, because parts of East Folkestone and Harbour were underwater, absolutely underwater. We need to do something about these block drains because it's going to get worse. It's not going to get better. Thank you.
No, I absolutely agree. Jenny, you're on mute.
Thank you. Yes, so yeah, I agree with Jackie. We've also had the same problems, really all along Dymchurch Road, particularly around Scanlan's Bridge. There's quite a severe area of flooding. All of the pathway, it's making it difficult for people to walk on the path. I know that Tony Hills has really helped out with some issues that happened in Dymchurch, but Dymchurch Road in particular, around Scanlan's Bridge, that is a real area of concern.
Okay, I think one of the problems that seems to have emanated slightly, and it's not necessarily a reflection on folks in the Hyde district. I know other districts have been a bit more vocal. Was a little bit of a blame culture going on between districts and counties. So obviously districts are responsible for getting rid of the leaves, and the county council is responsible for making sure the water can get down the drains and along the gullies. So I'm not saying that happened here, but I think certainly, I mean, I'd love to see a campaign perhaps of everyone sweeping up the leaves around their drives, for example, helping the district council in terms of clearing some of the issues. James, do you want to come back before I bring in Tony?
Yeah, is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say, just lower my hand first before I get moaned at. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for the praise anyway during Storm Kieran and the weekend that followed as well. The wet weather just seemed to continue all weekend. Just to put things into context, I was a call-out officer or the main contact for KCC Highways during that weekend straight after the storm. Because I believe the storm kind of hit, was it Wednesday into Thursday? And we were generally still clearing up on the Friday. And then the weather just turned for the worse sort of Saturday morning. And I think over a 36-hour period from Saturday into Sunday, we dealt with about 40 emergency highway calls just in the Folkestone Hyde district, which is unheard of over a 36-hour period. So initially the calls related to trees, but as that wet weather continued, it was just flooding upon flooding up until I'd say tea time on the Sunday, and then things seemed to get better. Storm Kieran obviously didn't help because it topped up everything, that it flooded all the fields, topped up the systems, and then the wet weather over the weekend just summed it up really. But just to let you know, with regards to a bit of a blame culture, I was liaising with the Folkestone District cleansing team kind of prior to Storm Kieran and kind of afterwards. So getting a feel for their resource over that period. So we were in communication with them, Councillor, regarding that. So it seemed to work quite well. I believe they had or don't quote me on this, 5 or 6 road sweepers covering about 2,000 roads. I believe they cover numerous hand crews as well that the council put out and clearing the leaves off the gullies, and obviously we're doing our best to try and keep the gullies clean and cleared as well. But I just thought I'd share that with you. It was mentioned about Dymchurch Road as well. I think there's kind of a bit of an issue there from Hive all the way through to Sandgate that we're aware of, and it is being kind of in hand, and we're liaising with Folkestone District as well, making sure that the gullies are clear, and so it kind of prevents highway flooding. So yeah, Dymchurch Road is definitely on our radar around Scanlon's Bridge and East Folkestone as well. But I thought I'd share that with you, Councillor.
Thank you, James.
Lovely.
Very aptly, the county flooding champion, Tony, you're next.
Are you Simon Wet? I don't know. But anyway, we did a fantastic job, I think, county and district. In my street alone, I had a large branch coming down the back garden of somebody, and it was cleared by Folkestone Hythe within 2 hours. Unbelievable. It was a fantastic job. All round, so well done. The marsh got the worst of it from Storm Ciarán. And the good news was it hit over low water. It'd been a different ball game. It hit over high water because it was a spring tide. So we got away with that one. Our luck won't last forever. But we have so much loose water lying around. I've had so many complaints from New Romney, Lydd, Dymchurch, Marysborough. Everybody has problems with surface water. Our officers at county under Earl Borner did a fantastic job going around cleaning gullies, making sure everything was okay. But unfortunately, the basic facts are we do not have enough capacity for when we get a 1 in 30-year event, which is how it's classified by the Met Office. And if you can imagine, Littlestone sewage works were overpumping that water straight out to sea, and they were overpumping for 500 hours continuously because they didn't have the capacity. Now, I have site meetings coming up with Southern Water at Littlestone and at Dymchurch on the 1st of December. But this is not going to be a simple solution. You're going to have to spend an awful lot of money. They're going to have to spend an awful lot of money giving us more capacity. And we have to have it more structured. But this is only the start, in my opinion. So fingers crossed for the winter.
Okay. Thank you, Tony. And your fellow Tony from the Marsh,
Hello, Dylan. Hello, Dylan. Thank you, man. I'd just like to endorse the comments that I've heard here regarding the clear-up, etc. But could we make a point, or could someone make a point of going up to the Downs Estate up in Dymchurch, as there's a lot of serious flooding there? And whilst I note there's a difficulty there in sometimes managing to clear all the drains, I think that does need a look at. And as Tony Hill says, there's a meeting with Southern Water to see what can we do there. But if we can back that up with any clearance of any drains or gullies, etc., that would be helpful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tony. Jackie.
Thank you. As much as I appreciate, obviously, that leaves get caught in gullies and they get blocked up, where our flooding in East Folkestone was mainly caused was the actual drains themselves. They seem to be absolutely chocker, just rammed with dirt or something. I'm not quite sure what it is, but it's so hard that you can't even break it up with a spade in order for the water to go down. And that was a huge issue down in the harbour because, of course, they're low down on the hill. We had flooding up on Hill Road, which it actually looked like a river up there. It came down the hill and it hit the Stade and almost flooded out the museum there. And if it wasn't for a resident and his quick thinking and preparing to absolutely get soaked, we would have lost our museum. And the reason is that all of the drains along there are absolutely solid. We cannot get the water down them, so we desperately need some work down there, please.
Okay. Yeah, I'd certainly endorse that comment. It was the drains just weren't able to cope with the sheer overload of water that they had to face. So I think there's some really valid points there. I think a special item on drainage at the next JTB might be apt, particularly in light of the fact that we've just had an announcement of some new money from the government, obviously mainly focused on potholes, but there will be an element of that on drainage. And I'm very pleased to say that certainly KCC's cabinet member for highways and transportation has agreed to come along to the next JTB to field questions on that and anything else. But I think it would be good to certainly have an item around drainage. Susan, did you want to add something about the reporting? No, okay.
Yeah,
Susan, go ahead.
I did put something in the chat. We meet as a joint transportation board once every 3 months. It is actually helpful if people report problems as and when they see them, get the reference number, and then they can follow up. And of course, if they had trouble, then that's when they involve the county councillor if the matter doesn't seem to be getting anywhere. I think it's just normal good practice. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Susan. So yes, that's really important that things do get reported, and we don't just assume someone else has reported them, particularly if members of the public. So moving on then, Appendix C on page 14 of the pack, street lighting. Anything on street lighting? Everyone's Rory.
Yes, thank you very much, Chairman. I wanted to just use the opportunity to place on record my thanks to James Bowen for following up on a street lighting matter that I have raised before now within my division in North Road and Royal Military Avenue in Sandgate. And this was where back in 2015, as part of what was then the planned reduction in streetlights, it was agreed that the streetlights at the southern end of Royal Military Avenue and the adjoining section in North Road would be removed following the trial switch off. And at the time, there was very little housing in the area, but the report that came to JTB at the time did recognise that, and I quote, the proposed redevelopment of the MOD site, this is Shorncliffe, will bring new lighting requirements and, where appropriate, new lighting. And I've been pursuing this because there has been not only additional housing, obviously, but there have also been reasons for more pedestrian access. So there's new life being breathed into the Tower Theatre, which includes a Jumping Jacks nursery and preschool. And I think it is time to revisit the street lighting in that vicinity. Now, what I've had back is a commitment, as a result of raising it through James, to continue to monitor the area. I absolutely understand that precious resources need to be focused on areas where there is actual casualty reduction, and there haven't been casualties in this area. But I just I'm pleased that the highways team, the street lighting maintenance team, are going to continue to monitor this. I just wanted to place on record my thanks. I will also, of course, be monitoring it, and particularly if the lack of lighting does result in some near misses or whatever. So thanks to James for the work that he's done on that so far.
Okay, thank you, Rory. Tony Cooper.
Oh, thank you. I was wondering if it would be at all possible to have another look at the light stretch in just outside Jefferson Lane, going towards Dymchurch, as that area is dark. I understand a couple of years ago it was raised, and apparently there was a new park being waited for or needed or something. Could that please be looked at again? And I've also had a constituent down in the lower sands in Dymchurch ask me about the street lighting there. And could that be looked at as well, please? That would be appreciated. Thank you.
Certainly, Tony. One of the things that came up, I do remember Folkestone Town Council did an exercise where, a bit like bins, they were trying to find out who's responsible for what light. Because sometimes they're district lights, sometimes they're county lights, sometimes they're town council or parish council lights, or sometimes they're just private lights for an estate for where we've got new housing and there might be unadopted roads or whatever. I don't know if that mapping exercise has ever come to fruition across the whole district. But I know sometimes people try and report a light and then they find out actually that light doesn't exist on any mapping system. I don't know if we could actually perhaps take that further in terms of the district mapping system that GIS and the like that's used. But I don't know if that could perhaps be taken up as something to look at in the future, because it is very difficult where we don't know where who's responsible for what light. But we need them fixed because people are in darkness. Tony Hills.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Sue Kinsella is great to work with. She's very efficient, our lighting officer. And if you get the poll number, because she has a list of who has what. So if it is a Folkestone and Hythe poll, for example, there's more like a contract they have with KCC to do maintenance. The problem comes, it's got to be signed off by Folkestone and Hythe for the spend. So that's where the little problems come and who's going to pay for it. But she'll have the list, and Sue Kinsella's a good person to work with. I find her excellent.
Yeah, I mean there are some other problems. I mean, for example, I had a street light out in Park Road, which is the one for Stella Maris and the school, and also there's the other school along there, and the Kingdom Hall as well. And it turns out it's a private road, so no one's responsible for it. And as they couldn't fund it, they stayed in darkness, which is great for the children in winter. Just hope no one has a serious accident or some repercussions. Anyway, Jackie Mead.
Yes, I do know that district were going through a process where we were changing all our lights to the LED, and I believe there was some tie with Kent County as well. I'm not sure whether it was we were handing back responsibility once we paid for all of our street lights to be LED. But looking at the budget today, I think that some of that's gone forward because we seem to be saving money on the lighting energy now, which is really good news. But maybe we can just try and get an update along that line.
Okay, sounds good. If Polly or Paul or someone could take that away and come back to us with an update. Tony Hills.
Yeah, just a quick point, really, and maybe Paul Thompson can answer this one. I had complaints from Dungeness over a year ago that the street lights are out. I haven't been up there in the dark yet to see if they've been fixed, but that's a sort of location. It really worries me because we have a lot of migrant boats historically coming ashore there, and people are frightened to answer their doors after dark in case who's going to be standing on the doorstep. So I'm hoping those street lights have been fixed, but only Paul Thompson would know, I guess.
Thanks, Councillor Hills. I'll have a look. With regards to the LED upgrade, a number of older assets have had the lanterns replaced. They require work by UK Power Networks. Trying to get this done. Boygs, working alongside with KCC, and they are starting to get quotes through for individual assets. So we have got around 55 assets that require this tie-in with UK Power Networks. On certain areas, it might be, and I think this might be the case with the Dungeness one, it might be that the main one is a feeder one and it affects the other lights, but I can see if I can get an update on that one if it hasn't been done already and get that sent over to you, Tony, okay?
That'd be great, Paul. Cheers for that. That would be very useful. Thank you.
Super. Okay, so street lighting always comes to the fore in the winter, doesn't it? We always forget about it in the spring and the summer, and it comes back with a vengeance. So anyway, moving on. If everyone's happy, move on to street lighting. Yeah. Okay. Appendix D: transportation safety schemes. Polly.
There we are, found a button. Yes, it was just to point out that, or also help really, because at D2 and D3, there where the Cheriton Active Travel Improvement Scheme is mentioned, it refers to, at both those places, to a separate specific information item. And I've been through it with a fine tooth comb and I couldn't find that separate item. So yeah, just to please point me in the right direction or supply it if I'm right and it's not there. Thank you.
Okay. Any of the officers able to offer some assistance on this?
Hello, Chair. From a Kent point of view, I'll have to look into this on your behalves. I've got no answers on this one, but I can take D2 and D3. Sorry, forward for you, Chair, on that.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. And obviously linked into that, I guess, are some of the. Although it's not a forward works as such from KCC, there are the changes to the plans that are ongoing as part of the whole sort of levelling up within Folkestone Town Centre, with different aspects of the scheme being amended. So perhaps it might be an idea to have that come back as an item at the next JTB, if that's okay, Polly.
Yep, that's fine. Yep.
Excellent. Okay, Tony Hills.
Thank you, Chairman. If I'm right, D3 is our well-known, famous Hammond's Corner.
Oh.
I think it's about the highest death rates on the marsh. But we're still hoping to get that roundabout financed. The work's all been done, but I've been pushing, and I'll continue to push, the NDA, Nuclear Decommissioning Authority, to help fund it as part of their social measures, because they're intending to bring, as you might be aware, 1,500 lorry movements down of Earth, up to 1,500, to help Station A build a crane, form a base to build a crane to take down the reactor buildings. So we need better communications. Our roads will get severely damaged. And that's why I want that roundabout in place. And it'll have the benefits with a potential feeder road to Mountford Estates. If I had my way, also with new housing on the Ashford Road. But first, I've got to get the funding in place. So far, I've asked twice at the site stakeholder group, and they said they can't afford it or haven't got the money. But I won't accept it because they're spending so much money on other things which are going to damage us. They should help our community.
Absolutely. Yeah. Jackie.
Yes, I'm just wondering if under the casualty reduction measures, I could raise Ware Bay Road. We're in desperate need of some mile per hour notices, whether they be roundels on the floor or actually on poles along there, because unfortunately people don't seem to know what the miles per hour are down there. They are constantly speeding. We've had people smash into lampposts. We've even had a couple of years ago someone actually end up in someone's front garden because it's a great big long sweeping curve. They put their foot down because they're coming down the hill and they just lose control. So anything that we can do to put in some mile per hour roundels. I was told when I spoke to KCC that they would charge me approximately £500 from my community grant. As you know, Dylan, our community grant is under threat at the moment. So on behalf of the residents, I really, really need this looked at now. Thank you.
Okay. James, do you want to come back on that point?
Yes, please, Chair. Jackie, can you email me direct regarding Ware Bay Road, please?
Yes, certainly will do, James.
If you can, then I can forward on to the relevant team, I mean East Kent Highway Improvements team.
Yeah, no, certainly will do. I have spoken to them previously about it, but happy to raise it again, James. No problem.
Please, if you don't mind, Jackie, that'd be lovely.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Tony Cooper.
Oh, thank you. I was wondering if it would be at all possible, going back on what Tony Hills was saying there, there's a new development on the outskirts of New Romney as you go towards Lyd on the A259. And before you get to Running Waters on the right-hand side, there is a row of parked cars. But before you hit that row of parked cars, you come round the bend, and people are concerned that they've got to wait while the traffic navigates that. And obviously, it is a bit of a hazard. Could that be please looked into? Because people are concerned, given the issues there, that someone may be injured as a result of being in the following car, maybe. If it's all possible. Thank you.
James, are you happy to take that up and look into that?
Yeah, yes, please, Chair. Yeah, that'd be fine. If you can email me direct, Councillor, on that, and then I can forward it on to the relevant team.
Thank you very much. No problem at all.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Wouldn't be a JTB without the A259 being mentioned, would it? Tony Hills.
Don't worry about that. You get plenty of mentions. But Tony Cooper's right. That's been a problem since that planning development was allowed to go ahead. How insane was that on that narrow road? The cars that are parking in front of Longshore Cottages are mostly during the day, because everybody goes off to work, are contractors for the building works. And they make that narrow where you have to wait till people let you in. They've just taken away the traffic lights they had there when they're doing some of the digging holes in the road. You just love it, and putting the fundamentals in. But it is a back. It's clear now, but Tony's got a point. We're only going to solve that when you put double yellow lines down there. And the sad thing is, the people in those cottages will lose their right to park in front of their house, because there's a lay-by and it was there. And that's going to be very sad. Now, some of them got parking at the back, but I think that's the only problem. But that's what's going to happen. Sorry about that, but that's the only way forward.
Thanks for that input, Tony. Alan Martin.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to add Coast Drive, in particular on the Lydd-on-Sea end. I've yet to convince Lydd Town Council to start a highways improvement plan. And one of my main reasons for championing one is all of the issues that the residents experience along Coast Drive, which is not limited to, but includes quite a lot of speeding. There's a significant issue around double yellow lines in blocks down that road, which creates blocks of parking. You have buses going down there, you have people driving too fast, people are weaving in and out of parked vehicles, and it does actually cause quite a few accidents. I've had a number of residents who are quite concerned by the number of accidents they've had outside of their house. As I say, I was going to try and raise it through a highways improvement plan with Lydd Town Council, but I think on a matter of safety, it's definitely worth looking into.
Okay, I'll let Tony come back, because highways improvement plans, new concepts, and some town and parish councils have been a bit slow taking those up and putting forward ideas. But obviously, Tony can take those forward directly. Tony, do you want to come back?
Yeah, it took a couple of years working closely with Paul Dobson to get that abbreviated double yellow line in. And the rationale was, what happened before, and Paul can tell you this, was that it was a continuous row of parked cars, and the kite surfers are in, right along the front. And we even had fist fights breaking out when someone got his wing mirrors knocked off and the buses couldn't get past, let alone if there's a shout at Dungeness Lifeboat Station, because the crew couldn't get past either. So it was a bit of a nightmare, and the abbreviated double yellow lines have vents. You can't park continuously. And that's worked. I think it's been worked very successfully. But Paul would tell you, it's not easy. We went out to consultation on that, Paul did, and you're never going to please everybody, and that's your problem. So what's happened now is people are going from the coast road and parking down like Taylor Road, Williamson, and parking down on side roads, meaning people who can't get out the front of their houses because there's a car parked in front of them. And that's what we're going to have to address. But Paul's aware of this, because it's not the first time it's been raised, and I doubt it'll be the last.
Yeah.
It all depends a lot on the weather.
If I could come back on that, Tony, I mean, I think people's issue with the double yellow lines is the fact that it isn't double yellow lines all the way along there. And I think the people on Lydd-on-Sea feel like second-class citizens to the people of Greatstone, where as you come out of New Romney along Greatstone, it is double yellow lines all the way along the road. It is 30 mile an hour all the way along the road. And then as soon as you get to Lydd-on-Sea, it becomes Coast Drive, and you have the staggered double yellow lines, and it goes up to 40 mile an hour. And the issue that you see, and you'd see that in the accident reporting, is that people are driving along the road too fast, and they're looking to sort of overtake a car, and a vehicle's coming the other way, and they're actually crashing into the back of parked vehicles, thinking that they're actually moving vehicles.
Well,
so it causes chaos, frankly.
Yeah, a few years ago, when the lighting wasn't that brilliant down there, we had one motorcyclist killed when he drove into the back of a parked vehicle, just facing the wrong way. He didn't face the reflectors towards you. But unfortunately, you can't stop idiots. I know there's 5 accidents in a row. I used to live on the bottom part of that, on the grade, and 5 times cars crashed through that exit because they're going too fast. In fact, I had one in my front garden. And you can't account for that after end of an evening, you say, and they're not a bit worse for wear. But I actually think the double yellow lines, abbreviated, has worked extremely well, because I've had a lot fewer complaints after than before. But it goes from Taylor Road car park, it's 40 miles an hour beyond that, up to Dungeness, or towards Dungeness, up to the road there, and then it's 60 to Lydd. So it's 30, 40, 60. But I don't know if Paul wants to make a comment on it. I don't know, but I think it's worked a lot better than it was.
I think it's going back to the consultation. Some people seem to be upset that they've got the double yellow lines in front of their properties because of visitors parking. Some people are upset that they haven't got the double yellow lines in front of their properties. Obviously, it makes no difference to me whether it's continuous down there or not. But I think, as Councillor Hills has alluded, it's mainly, it was just a solid line of traffic, vehicles parked down there. We witnessed buses driving on the footway to get past because there was no place for vehicles to safely pass to abreast when you've got a car parked on the curbside there. Obviously, when it comes down to speeding vehicles, you can look at it that having vehicles parked there should, in theory, help slow vehicles down. But that's really like a safety measure. I don't really get involved in that safety aspect of it. I can see both sides to the argument there. It's obviously it's a lovely straight road. You are going to get people speeding down there. I think if you had double yellow lines down the whole of it, both sides, you'd probably get people going even faster. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword. But yeah, as Councillor Hills has said, certainly we're not getting any complaints directly to us regarding it. So
okay, I'll send you some.
Right. So that's Appendix D then, in effect. We now move on to Appendix E. Developer and other externally funded works. Are there any comments from anybody on Appendix D? I see none. Okay, so Rory.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Sorry, you did say E, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so. I just at the end there, I thought you said D, and I thought maybe I'd missed it. Yeah, I'm on top of page 17, Cheriton High Street and Cheriton Approach. I'm pleased to see this is still marked down as ongoing because, again, colleagues will know that I've raised this before. This really is a dangerous arrangement without pedestrian controlled signals. This is from crossing from roughly where the range is over to the other side of the road towards the fish and chip shop, amongst others, but also towards Tesco and so on. and at one stage it looked as if the developer was recommending that the easiest thing to do is to close off the crossing, which of course will simply mean that people will still cross, but they'll just do it in an even more dangerous place. So I'm pleased to see that this is ongoing. I recognise that the problem started from the planning application at the district council, because it was at that stage that nobody thought to I mean, it's a different councillor now, but at the time nobody thought to flag up the fact that, you know, the plans in front of them at the planning application stage didn't show pedestrian controls here, even though they did a little bit further down the road opposite Tesco, where, you know, frankly, they're probably slightly less important. So that was unfortunate, but we are where we are, and I'm pleased to see it is still marked as ongoing, and I hope that we will have further reports back. It is something that I continue to chase, as James will know every so often. Thank you, Jim.
Okay, Jackie.
Yes, I'd just like to back up what Councillor Love has said about that. I, as a driver, I find that junction dangerous. As you come off the roundabout, you come into the two lanes, one which will turn right towards the supermarket and one that will go straight through. As you come off the roundabout, you see red lights, green lights, and until you're on top of it, if you don't know that junction, it's actually very, very easy to make what could be a catastrophic mistake. So even the positioning of the lights for drivers, I think, needs to be looked at as well, if we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Alan Martin.
Yes, thank you. So just under parish council funded schemes, so we've got the speed limit change in Ivy Church. Just to say, it took us a little longer than we hoped to get there, but we have now received the final invoice through. So the final costs have been agreed, and KCC actually managed to provide £1,000 towards that, for which Ivy Church was very grateful. Tony provided some grant money, and myself from Folkestone Hive as well. So everyone in Ivy Church is delighted that that is all signed off and ready to go, and very much looking forward to that being implemented very soon.
Superb. One of the things I always think within this report, and it's so I find frustrating, it links back to very much what Rory was saying, where we have things that are ongoing. It would be nice occasionally to have some sort of end date, even if it's 2 years hence or whatever, that we could look forward to, because when things are ongoing, you know, and as Rory says, this comes back time and time again, but it never seems to go anywhere. So I don't know how feasible that is to get some sort of possible forecasted end date for completion of some of the works, but it would be useful. But I'll leave that one with the KCC team. Okay, Appendix F, bridge works. Anything on bridge works on page 19, Appendix F? I see none. Tony.
I need to say, Chairman, I think the Wallpack bridge works, which was completed, I see, in September, took about 3 years to do. All right. Some take longer.
Was that quick? Is that quick?
long way round.
Jackie.
I don't know if the team here can help me, but for a couple of years now, there's been talk about the railway bridge by Folkestone Central needing replacing, that it's gone past its sell-by date and that Network Rail will actually have to close it and replace it, which will obviously bring into play our highways team as well. I'm just wondering if anyone on the team has heard anything about this yet.
James.
Thank you, Chair. Jackie, when you emailed me regarding Whereby Road, do you want to just put a little comment in there, sentence regarding the bridge? Can you?
Yep, certainly will do.
Yeah, just so I can share that. with our structures team. I'll be honest with you, nothing's come through my team, so not aware on that one, Jackie. Thank you,
No.
Chair.
Thanks, James.
Okay, Rory.
Yeah, if you were holding your breath thinking that I was aware of something, then the answer is no. But can I get an early plea in, if there is to be works on that bridge, for the 4 rather fabulous pieces of artwork that have been installed by Strange Cargo? Last time there was some work done, and this is many, many years ago. This will be, is it 5? He's saying, I think the chairman's saying there are 5. Okay, maybe there's 5. But anyway, many, many years ago, and this will predate perhaps many colleagues here, that there used to be some rather fabulous streetlights in the vicinity there, which were in the shape of a swan. And I had kind of wings on them, and they were removed and destroyed rather than being, retained and beyond their useful service life, and made something could have been made of them in anything from a museum to an art installation in their own right. So the moment I hear that there's something going on around there, I'm alerted to it, and I'm thinking, can we and can James perhaps make a note that if they do, if at any stage the bridge is taken away, then for heaven's sake, don't let them get rid of those. Well, I thought there were 4, but the chairman's indicating 5, unless he's telling me I've only got 5 minutes to speak on this subject or something, in which case I've got another 4, I think. But anyway, I'll just flag it up. If they could be, carefully stored and then reinstalled, and work can be done with Strange Cargo as to where they're going to go next. Thank you.
Now you've got the 4 little statues, and then you've got the penny display at eye level. Okay, so anything else on Bridgeworks? I see none. Traffic systems. Obviously, one is dependent upon the active travel scheme in happening. Polly, I see you.
Yeah, well, it was about that actually. So it's dependent on the active travel scheme. And in the absence of the update, which I was unable to find, I'm just wondering if we've got any timescales for that yet. I understand it's likely to be in the first half of next year, but I just wondered if there was any progress on knocking that down more precisely. Thank you.
Okay, we can certainly get an update to you on that, and I know Rory and I have been involved in discussions, but I can't recall. Rory, can you recall when the works are supposed to be beginning?
There's some further technical work, isn't there, to be done initially around that junction? But I can't. So it's not just a question of the works can start. There's actually got to be some. James might be able to give us more detailed technical data on that. But I think there's a bit more planning to do before anything can be got underway.
Okay. Yeah, there was another nasty accident.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So it can't happen soon enough.
Unfortunately, it's one of our main accident black spots in the district. As soon as we repair the lights and the barrier, they get hit again.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, James, are you able to shed any more light on the junction to the garden?
Yeah, hello, Chair. Is this a site, Cherry Garden Avenue junction with Cherryton
Go ahead,
Road?
James.
Down the bottom there.
That's correct.
Yeah. No, I'll be honest with you, I'm chasing that up as well, because we have a monthly site inspection on the barriers that are currently in situ on the site. So as soon as I hear something, Chair, I will share, but the information to hand is the information to hand, I'm afraid, at the moment. So, but yeah, but it's on our radar as well. We are pushing, Chair.
Okay, so moving on then to Appendix I, dreaded street works. These are the ones we know about. Always a bit of a problem. Any comments on street works? Is that a legacy hand, James?
Yeah, we'll put that one down. There you go.
Okay. Right. So nothing on street works. That concludes the.
I've got something.
Go ahead, Jenny.
Would that include things like where you've got footpaths and there's sort of flowers growing, the residents are growing flowers basically, and they're being sprayed. So it's an area in Hythe where the residents have been growing hollyhocks for years, and they've been told recently that they're going to be sprayed because they're a kind of a hazard. And we're just trying to get it sorted out. Is there any advice that you can give me to kind of try and get this sorted out?
Okay. Any officers on the call want to help? Oh, Susan. Not quite an officer. You're muted.
Sorry. No, but Jenny does know that Neil Baker is aware of this, and it's a real issue, unfortunately, because somebody is threatening to sue the council over the damage caused by the hollyhocks to the footpath, and there was a personal accident. So that has to work its way out. And whilst the hollyhocks there are lovely, and we've all appreciated them over the years, when it comes down to safety, that has to take priority. So, Jenny, I think you must know that we're still waiting for that one to work its way through.
Okay.
Well, I'll chase it up. It's just been a few months and I haven't heard anything. So, thank you.
Right.
Yeah,
so
they won't spray unless they have to, but they do have to see if this person is going to sue or not.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to item 6. Unfortunately, Councillor Prater can't be with us. He has circulated some notes. I'm just going to read them out for the purposes of the webcast, because obviously there will be people who won't have seen his notes. Firstly, in relation to the Undercliff on Sandgate. Actually, I think we'll do each of these items separately. That might be better. So we'll start with the Undercliff Sandgate. Councillor Prater said the Undercliff is a limited use road, but very narrow, and parking in those locations blocks emergency vehicle access in what is effectively a steep access cul-de-sac. Residents would welcome the restrictions, and there is no loss of parking spaces that can reasonably be used, and a marginal loss of ones that should not. So, who's going to lead on the proposed parking restrictions? Is that you, Paul?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, just to give a bit of background, it's a permit holders only past this point restriction. So we don't have any bay markings down there. The onus is on vehicles to park as sensibly as they can. Obviously, some people are parking on the corner causing problems. So we would look, as it's within a controlled parking zone, just to put some corner protection around there.
Okay, so any comments on the Undercliff Sandgate from anybody, or are we happy to note and support? Yep, that's good. So it looks like it's noted and supported. Moving on to the harbour approach. Go ahead. Who's leading on the harbour approach? Is that you again, Paul?
Yeah, all these will be me.
Yeah, we'll go ahead with the harbour approach then. Outside the bursting.
Yeah.
Have you got anything to add?
No. Councillor Mead's got
No.
her hand up.
No worries. Jackie, go ahead. It's in your neck of the woods. You're
You're
muted.
muted, Jackie.
We know that the whole area around the harbour and the Stade has got parking issues, especially during good weather, with people visiting the Harbour Arm, etc. Had a very, very useful visit with Fred and the team down on the Stade last week. And we're looking at the possibility of asking KCC whether we can have permission to actually bring in clamping, because the ticket amounts which we are not allowed to raise are not stopping people. When you go onto the Harbour Arm, a full day's parking there is £35. A ticket is £35. There is no disincentive to stop people parking in the wrong places. So we've been discussing ways around this and finding if there was some way that we may be able to bring in clamping as an additional disincentive. Thank you.
Okay. Holly.
Yeah, just to echo and endorse what Councillor Mead is saying there is a need for additional measures, and we're a long way from solving the problems down at the Stade. So yeah, if clamping were an option, that would certainly be another tool in the toolbox, so to speak. But this particular recommendation from Andy is is to just to ease that the traffic congestion that is when traffic trying to get onto the Harbour Arm and outside the Bursting, and it's just gridlock there in the summer. So if that's the loading ban is a one quick and easy solution, that if we can get that in place before next summer, that would be a huge help.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll certainly echo that, and unfortunately, it goes right the way up to the coastal park in terms of some of the parking issues. One of the things I would perhaps with the double yellows is that there's not that many disabled spaces. I mean, there's one in the car park just up by the Paris Hotel now, London and Paris. There's a couple in Tram Road car park. If you park now in the Harbour Arm and you've got disabled badge, well, it doesn't matter, you're still charged. So I just wondered if you know, whilst that's not within this, but some consideration perhaps for one or two extra spaces for people with blue badges, because it might limit where they're able to go.
Yeah, we can look at that, and also even along Marine Parade, you've got all your paying display bays down there, and obviously blue badges can park in there without time restriction. But we can certainly look at if there's anywhere where we can incorporate additional bays, of course. Yeah.
Okay. I think unfortunately we're the victim of our own success in terms of the popularity of that area of the district. So any objections, or we're happy to proceed on that one? Yep, that's good. Okay then. So 3.2, Military Road, Sandgate High Street, Gough Road junctions. I have a note from Councillor Prater. Sandgate High Street, Military Road, the double yellow lines at that location are always parking with vehicles just stopping, despite the line restriction and proximity to the junction, making the junction dangerous to all arriving at it. A no stopping restriction would give enforcement officers something they could do to tackle the issue where it seems they currently cannot, and therefore is asking for colleagues' support. Are there any other comments in relation to Military Road, Sandgate High Street? Rory.
Well, the only thing I'm just a little concerned about is loading and unloading for the fish and chip shop on the corner there. Now, maybe Councillor Prater has put forward some proposals there, or put forward a reason as to why that is not a relevant consideration. But I think I'd want to understand that it's not going to impact unduly, because there are very few other options. If a lorry were to turn into Gough Road, I think it's unlikely to be able to get all the way down there to come out anywhere at the other end. So I just wonder whether that could be, whether we could get some assurances at this board before. I mean, I guess it's only going to be a recommendation anyway, but I flag it because I would have preferred, had he been here, then we could have asked him that question. But I'm just slightly concerned about potential impact on a business, and quite a well-known business.
Okay. Are you able to shed any light, Paul?
Yeah, I haven't really spoken in depth to Councillor Prater regarding this, so I'm not sure how much of an extent of any loading ban he would be requesting, and I've not really looked at it in too much detail, other than I wouldn't have gone past the entrance to Gough Road. So you'd actually have, they shouldn't be parking on the bit between Gough Road and Sandgate High Street anyway. That area is too small and it's right by the junction. So that would be where we'd be looking initially to consider a loading ban. Once you're past Gough Road, you have got that bit to the side of the fish and chip shop there, which I wouldn't have thought we'd need to go up that far anyway. And you're far enough away from the junction to park there, hence why we wouldn't go there.
Okay. Well, if you can take this forward and perhaps liaise with Councillor Love, Councillor Prater, as to the best way, and any sort of minor tweaks or amendments, it would be appreciated. Okay, so
Chairman, I mean, if other members are happy with that way forward, then I think that would be wise, just so that we can be sure that there's not going to be some kind of unintended consequence. And as I say, my fears may be ungrounded, but I think it would be helpful if we can just bottom that out.
Okay, so members agreed? Yeah, that's good. Okay, moving on then. Millbay Folkestone, which is actually in my neck of the woods, just. Lo and behold, I'm getting an extra disabled parking bay. So I'm fully in support, and there's still room for loading nearby. Any comments from anybody, or we happy with that one? All good, excellent, brilliant. Various New Romney. I like that heading. That's 5.1. Any comments, Tony?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. We did a site visit there with New Romney Town Council, and Paul was there and Fred. And yeah, I totally support what they're trying to achieve, which is control the poor parking in the high street, to let the buses through and other vehicles, and try and manage some of the offloading of stuff, which is blocking the road when they unload. So I'm all for it.
Okay, thank you. Tony Cooper.
Yeah, I think that should be supported as well on what Tony was saying there. Paul also raised this at district and asked the question to Polly, etc. And I think if it's gone through the system, it should be adopted as soon as possible, because there has been a number of cars overturned in the High Street, just off the High Street, and outside the local parish church as well.
Okay, excellent. So I think there seems to be broad support. So everyone happy with that one? Yep, excellent. Okay. Moving on, let's just look at the work programme or what we're going to be doing for next JTB. But before we do, I'd just like to say thank you to the District Council for bringing in the free parking on Saturdays, the 3 Saturdays up until Christmas on the 9th, 16th and 23rd for the council car parks and on-street pay and display. Greatly appreciated, I'm sure, by traders and everyone else who will be using the facilities around the district. So thank you to the District Council for that. So as I said, the Cabinet Member for Transport and Highways at KCC will be attending our next JTB, and I think this is quite prevalent given the announcement that's been made just a couple of days ago, in that the government have given an additional £134 million over the to help mend the county's potholes and other road damage, and also potentially look at drainage as well. This year alone, that will mean an additional 4.3 million, which is 13% of the overall budget normally for highways in the county, and then another 4.3 million next year. So it's quite a significant amount of money and an uplift as well to our future spending. So I think it would be good to certainly hear from the cabinet member at County Council what that means for Folkestone and Hythe. Now, I've got a good idea what it means for the district, sorry, for the county, but not necessarily for the district. You know, what roads are we talking about? Are we just going to talk about the A roads, or what it will actually mean? So I think it'd be quite good to have some sort of idea about what's going to be happening, or will have happened, hopefully by that stage, in terms of immediate works. I also think as well, given that we had drainage discussed, that drainage is a key item that needs to be addressed. Now, obviously, that's beyond perhaps even the remit of both councils, and we know that the drains are not really fit for purpose, and that's our lovely friend Southern Water yet again, in terms of some of the problems around that. But I think certainly an item on drainage would be really good. I think as well an item on the BSIP update, the bus service improvement plan. Again, that will have been bottomed out as to what's happening, and it'll be interesting to see what that actually means for the district. And I'd like to link into that the community bus update, because we've had community buses now with a couple of places, a couple of the town or parish councils have got involved, but I'd like to learn perhaps more what this means for our district in terms of the funding that's available, what's been done and around community buses. I know that's one of your personal things that you do go on about, Tony Hills, that is, in terms of you know, making the marsh accessible for all, especially those the residents that live there. Any other items people would like on the next JTB? Tony, your hand's up.
Yeah, I'm just going to agree with you, really, that if it's going to be, what time's the next meeting?
The next meeting is on the 26th of February.
Okay, so it'll be a good time to monitor how we're doing for potholes. You're quite right. If James can find out what our share of that particular wedge is going to be on repairs, that'd be very useful. I'm just praying for a calm winter and dry one at that. But I think I'll be disappointed. But it's a good time to see how we're doing. But yeah, I wouldn't blame Southern Water too much, Dylan. It's my own personal view. We're working together to invest more money to improve things. I think all our officers are doing their best. We're working with historically out-of-date kit. And with the weather getting heavier and heavier more, I mean, when you get like 3 inches of rain in a day, that's not what we used to have 20 years ago. And that's our problem, too much surface water. And all we can do is, like whack-a-mole, as it appears, try and fix it with long-term fixes. So I think we're having more meetings with Southern Water to make sure we get proper investment where it's needed. And we've got to push them hard on that.
Okay, thanks for those comments, Tony. Anyone else like to see anything on the next JTB agenda? If something comes to mind, you can always contact myself or Jake, and with a request for something to go on the agenda. Okay,
Jenny's got a hand up.
With that,
Jenny's got a hand up.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jenny. My fault.
Thank you. Just on the subject of the BSIP funding, I have heard that some of it we might be able to use some of it to reinstate services that have been lost. So that might be worth discussing. I suppose it's probably a good thing to look at before the next meeting, but and to sort of talk about the issues where the need is sort of greatest.
If I could just jump in there, Chairman. We had a good meeting with Stagecoach last Friday week in Canterbury. They're relaunching themselves. I think they've been recapitalised. That's good news. But the BSIP monies, I've got 2 schemes I've put forward to Phil Lightout, our head of pastoral, the Marsh, trying to get funding for 2 pilot schemes a year long, and we're doing that through the Romney Marsh Partnership, using our officer, Linda, Marsh, to as a cutting edge. And I've got high hopes of that. So I hope I won't be disappointed. But I'll let you know in February.
Okay, yeah, it'd be useful to as I say, I sort of wrap around linked into the BSIP in terms of what's happening around bus and community transport is really good. Tony Cooper.
Oh, thank you, Chair. Could I suggest that we ask for an update from Stagecoach on what's going on? Because we're all getting messages in our inboxes from constituents who are still not aware of what's going on. And it would be appreciative if we could be able to pass a positive message back to the people who were contacting us. Thank you.
Totally agree. So that's an update from Stagecoach. So it's a fairly full agenda we're going to have next time in. And there was me looking at tonight's agenda thinking, oh, that's going to be really quick. But thank you to everyone for your participation. It's been really useful. And hopefully we've got a good idea with things moving forwards. So thank you and good evening. And if I don't see some of you again, have a happy Christmas.
Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.